Now, Sports Talk with Brodes. Here's Hunter Brody.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome on into Sports Talk with Brodes. There's really not much to this one. The 76ers just got crushed on their own floor against the Memphis Grizzlies, and they were not involved whatsoever, other than Tobias Harris, who kept up his efficiency, and it's not like it meant anything in the world because you can only handle so much as one individual. But other than Tobias Harris, this was a complete nightmare. And I was disappointed, but I somewhat knew and expected Joel Embiid not to play. But I really thought that was a tone setter. All right, we're on the second half of a back-to-back. We're sitting our big man. So that level of needing to dive in, it just wasn't there right from the jump. When your most important player finally comes back after a couple weeks off, and then in a second half of a back-to-back, they're like, you know what? We're going to rest him. We're going to do this the right way, so they say. We're going to hold him back, and we're going to make sure that his bone bruise is the best of its ability. It's the best that it possibly can be as we enter the postseason. We're going to take him off the floor. I think that changed everybody's mentality. It shouldn't have changed everybody's mentality, but it did. And oh, by the way, I feel I'm not giving Paul Reed and garbage time enough credit. It wasn't just Tobias Harris. Paul Reed, too. He was able to show some explosiveness and make a little bit of noise in that area. But Doc Rivers made it very clear he's not ready. He's not going to be taking that jump. He's got a lot to work on before you ever think of him in that type of light and that type of view. So hold your horses, essentially, is what Doc Rivers said. But, yeah, this team just got crucified. Is that the right way to utilize a term here on Easter? Should that be the way that I describe this outing? But ultimately, it is the best way. Dwight Howard afterwards said one of those games. So that's normally what I do in this situation. I chalk it up to one of those games, and I don't think any differently about this team than I did prior to this effort, prior to this outcome. It's just extremely disappointing knowing that this team normally brings the heat, brings the intensity on their own floor, and to get run out of the building by Grayson Allen and some of that other slop on the other side, yeah, it's disappointing. Now, without the big man, I think Valanciunas early grabbing offensive rebounds, that really dictated the pace of play that Memphis could run with. Because once they realized that they can get their tall men into the paint and they can take advantage of that mismatch, well, once they got rebounds, they pushed the floor, they were able to run the floor, they were able to establish where they wanted to be with the big guy there, and hey, Valanciunas just go to work, and there was no fix, there was no stop, there was no alternative to make the bleeding eventually put a Band-Aid on it, right? There was no put a Band-Aid on it. There was no way to stop the bleeding. It just constantly continued to happen. Let's get to the miserable player, and that would be Benjamin Simmons. Once again, another disgraceful effort. And there were a lot of people unhappy with me after last game when I spoke about the win over Minnesota because apparently I'm too negative with some of these players even after wins. And look, you can hate me, you can love me. I don't give a damn where you stand on me. But here's my point I'm about to make. You can win and still criticize moments. Doc Rivers does it all the time. If Doc Rivers is going to do it, I'm allowed to do it too, damn it. So if you end up winning a game, it doesn't mean the game was perfect. You might have slipped away with the victory, and you might have been able to pull away from a Karl Anthony Towns-led squad where he was dropping, what did he finish with, 39 points? And Tobias Harris came up very clutch in the fourth quarter. You can acknowledge that was fantastic and still point out that Ben Simmons was awful and horrendous and still point out that there's some other parts of this team that I questioned in that win. You can win a game and it doesn't mean everything was perfect, and you can still be aware that it's phenomenal that you won and the outcome was what you wanted the end result to be, and it was okay at the same time to maybe look at some of the issues that you would like to get better, that you would like to fix throughout this rest of the season so that in the playoffs maybe it's not so much of an issue and maybe things change. With Ben Simmons, I don't know how in any way, shape, or form you can sit here and be okay with his play. He went, what did he finish with here at the end? 2 of 6. And he started out with the dunk. He started out with that style of play, and then it poof evaporated. I saw him attack Grayson Allen one time, and it ended up him having to get fouled. Other than that, I've never seen a man unwilling to attack a mismatch in my entire damn life. There is no way the offense should look this pathetic when your primary ball handler is on the floor. With or without Joel Embiid against the Memphis Grizzlies, a 500 basketball team, Ben Simmons should be able to get this team in rhythm more so than what he did. And after the game, Doc Rivers is giving you the cliche answer of, you guys are very worried about his scoring. I'm not. He helps us out in so many other areas. No shit, Doc. I know he does. We all know that he does. We know about his passing. We know about his defense. We know about his intensity. We know about that, although the intensity wasn't there today. And quite frankly, his defense wasn't there as strong as it was yesterday. Like, it wasn't strong yesterday, I'm saying, against the Minnesota Timberwolves, against Anthony Edwards. I didn't love the performance there. Followed up by another stinker. Ben Simmons, the fact that these trash bag players like Grayson Allen, and I remember specifically bringing this up the last time these two teams competed as well. So this is something that continues to pop up and show its ugly face. I specifically remember targeting matchups against Grayson Allen and questioning on what universe. If any of the top players in this league had Grayson Allen on them, what would you do? What would they do? They would crush them easily, over and over and over again. This league is all based off of size, advantage, and being able to win a one-on-one battle. This guy, he'll drive, and he'll stop, and he'll pick up his dribble, and he'll come around some sort of screen, and he'll try and find someone cutting or try and find somebody on the perimeter. And it's like, dude, you're allowing some of these players to wall you off way too easily. You see it, and you just shy away without even giving it a time and a look. How do you not even give it a look? Go! Go! Explode! Use your speed! Use your footwork! Use your explosiveness. That's what you're strong at. That's what you can do all the time. You're going to let these scrubs seriously wall you off? Blow by it. Ben Simmons sucked. And he has pretty much all season, other than the 2 weeks leading up to the All-Star break, so he can make his damn statement. Demand more, please. Demand more. It's only right. We would be doing ourselves a disservice as basketball fans, as 76ers fans, to allow Ben Simmons to be this version of himself. He went 2 of 6 against the Memphis Grizzlies without Ben Simmons. It's so unacceptable for that to be the offensive performance. I'm not fucking asking for 35, 34, 32. I'm asking for 20. Give me 20, 10, and 8. 20, 10, and 8. You're giving me 2 of 6. Oh, it's so bad. It's so bad. God damn it, Ben. The hell are you doing? I've never seen a player like this in my damn life. I really haven't. You saw also, I mentioned Tobias' day. I got to move on from Ben Simmons because I'm going to blow my mind. When you see Tobias go 8 of 14, 21, 8 and 3, if you fall, you fall. If you lose, you lose. If it's not a smooth game, it's not a smooth game. But I saw Tobias Harris go out there and battle as hard as he could. I saw him be efficient. I saw him put the foot on the gas. Ben, that's all I'm asking for. If you lose the basketball game. I'm not going to cry about the loss. This loss means nothing to me, even though the Brooklyn Nets lost to the Chicago Bulls, and it opened up the door for a possibility to maybe get an advantage on them and to creep in a little bit more. And that also goes to show that good teams lose to bad teams. It happens all the time, so that's why I'm not stressing about it. I'm not losing sleep over the actual L in the column. The Brooklyn Nets just lost to the Chicago Bulls. This is something that happens all throughout the NBA. Ben, you gotta be able to be more of a factor. It is incredibly sickening that this is what you're giving us consistently at this point. So whenever he has a game or he explodes, bro, see, this is why. Shut the fuck up. This is why. This is why what? Do you see this? Do you see this? I know what he can do. When he does it, it's more like, I know, Ben. I know. Why? Because the only reason why the answer is why, the only thing is when I say why, it's the will and the want to. It's the want to. It's not the skill set. It's not anything else. It's the want to. Why don't you want to? Why? You're driving us crazy. Someone needs to show Ben Simmons this. Someone has to cut this up and show Ben and say, Ben, this is what you do to people. This is what you do to this fan base. You drive them crazy. I need a straitjacket. You're going to put me in an asylum. This is what you do, Ben. And this is a supporter. This isn't a Ben Simmons hater. This isn't a guy that is sick and thinks that he's some dumb, terrible player. This is someone who acknowledges how smart he is at the game. This is someone who acknowledges the intangibles that you can't teach that he does have and the attributes that he has that you would wish to have in a million years if you're an NBA player. So this is what a crazy Ben Simmons supporter looks like. This is what you're doing to them right here. This is it. Game in and game out. Over and over and over again. This is the trash that you're forcing me into. And it sucks. It really does. This Sixers team allowed 45 points in the third quarter. What in the world are you doing defensively? What in the world are you doing offensively? I saw Shake Milton put the ball on the floor. Tough day off the dribble against Melton. Real tough day when you're putting the ball on the floor, trying to bounce on the dribble, and just trying to work off the dribble and all against Melton. It wasn't the greatest execution out of him, although some are going to dive back into the stat sheet afterwards and say, well, you're wrong, Brodes. And I'm not saying it was the worst performance in the world out of Shake Milton, but I've alluded to this before. There is something missing for me out of Shake Milton. I need to see more. 5 for 18 from 3, 16 of 44 in the first half. Sheesh. You know? Just sheesh. And once you started to get annihilated early on from what Valanciunas was doing to you, I think it was such a momentum killer. It was such a damaging blow where you kind of realized, okay, with your starting five, with your size at center, with you going small ball, there's really no way for you to hang, and it kind of dictated that pace of play, as I mentioned, for the Memphis Grizzlies to establish what they want to do because they felt it. I think they smelled it a little bit. They realized, hey, they're dead. They don't believe in themselves. They don't have it tonight. They see this as we're undermanned, we're on the second half, we're tired, keep running, push the pace, force them to get even more tired, force them to use a lot more energy, and they played their hands pretty damn strongly because that's exactly how it eventually did end up. Now, the Sixers play the Celtics in Boston on Tuesday. This is not the same Boston Celtics team that we are used to seeing. So I want to see how they come out and how they fight. I want to see their effort level. They can't overlook the opponent. This is one where if they do lose, it's not one of those games. They had one of those games. And I'll date this to kind of what happened on that West Coast swing. They played the Clippers. They played the Denver Nuggets. You had some stinkers. You lost. You didn't have your top dog. You were playing the Cleveland Cavaliers to end the road trip. Knowing that you were coming off of two poor displays, it wouldn't have been okay with me to say, oh, it was one of those stinkers against Cleveland. You had a couple stinkers prior where now it's time to step up. Answer the bell. The stinker already occurred. So I'm going to apply that same logic here. You had the stinker. You won against Minnesota at home, albeit you had to grind it out a bit. You had the stinker against a team like Memphis. You're going up against your rival. There's no way in hell the stinker should ever happen against the Miami Heat, against the Boston Celtics, against the Milwaukee Bucks, against these good teams. Stinkers happen that I accept because you overlook your opponent, because the teams are not good, because you think you're just going to walk all over them and you're not as mentally prepared. It's not something that I root for. It's not something that I'm happy with, but it's something that I know occurs. You can have an overlook against the Boston Celtics no matter if they're bad, no matter if they're good. Every time you see that logo, you're mentally prepared. You should be ready to play. And who knows, maybe going into the TD Garden is something they are going to have to do, or is something they're going to have, they should need. Something that, not that they should need, let's rephrase this. Something that they use as motivation to somewhat rewire their brains, because this little 2-game stint at home is not something that really sat well with me these last 2 games. I didn't really love it all in the Minnesota game, but they did pull it out, and tonight definitely just a flat line of bad basketball. All right, so with Ben, too, I saw some fouls. It's like, dude, you're 90 feet away from your basket. Wow. I had to throw another Ben thing in there, huh? I just had to. Before we get to the Anytime Hotline, not a crazy day with the phone calls. I think that was more a product of what type of game it was. It was an unwatchable one. It was a game where you kind of have to just, you know what? I'm done. I'm throwing on something else. I'm not even giving it the time of day. I'm not even going to keep it on my television. So, as expected, the phone calls were a little light because of that. But here's something that I need to tell you about. And it's everyone's favorite tournament of the year. The golfers are in Augusta, Georgia to compete for the coveted jacket. And DraftKings, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is putting you in the center of the action by giving you a shot to land in the green. This week, DraftKings is giving you 100-1 odds on the golfer of your choosing to finish in the top 10. If you haven't tried DraftKings, this is the time. Turning $1 into $100 is simple. Pick any golfer from this weekend's tournament, and if they finish in the top 10, you cash $100. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code BRODES when you sign up to turn $1 into $100 if the golfer of your choosing finishes in the top 10 of this weekend's tournament. That's code BRODES to turn $1 into $100 for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older. Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. In partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, here we go. I want to make sure that these are properly here because I did have some errors with some of the things earlier. All right, let's see how we go. Here we go.
I'm pretty disgusted with the effort we saw tonight. And the only person who kind of showed up was Tobias Harris. They just didn't look like they wanted to play. And, you know, you can say it was a back-to-back or whatever, but yeah, this falls on everyone. Everyone has to be more prepared than they were. You can't let Grayson Allen just start, just carrying the team to beat you. Ben Simmons, do you want to play the sport of basketball or not? Because after that hot kind of start in the first quarter, he just stopped trying. Like, it's gotten to a point where nobody else in any profession can get away with just not trying 80% of the time at the thing that they do for a living. Do you want to be here or not, Ben Simmons?
It's a great question. It's a great question. Do you even want to play the game? Do you even want to be here? And it does feel like that is the question asked. And I guess I'm just having an internal conflict because I don't know. Like, I want him to be something that he's not, it seems. I want him to be that guy who's going to step up without Joel Embiid. And are we at the point now where this is what it's going to be? But every time I feel that way, it goes back to the same thought process. It's in there. We've seen it a billion times. It's not because he can. It's because he isn't willing to do it mentally. Why can't you flip the switch? If you decide to do it, Ben, you do it. So, but then it goes back to, too, like, this is why I'm having such a difficult time seriously processing this debacle. I've never seen a fucking athlete in my life that treats me this way mentally. And I don't think I'll ever see it again. There's no way. Carson Wentz, Joel Embiid, Carter Hart, you name all these guys, Bryce Harper, Alec Boehm, Spencer Howard, it doesn't matter who, there will never be something like this ever again in your lifetime. And I pray that there isn't, because we shouldn't get put through this pain and this illness that we have upstairs because of him. we want him, I want him to be a dog in these games without Joel Embiid, just to show me that determination is there and the dedication is there and the flip of the switch is there. At the end of the day, though, does it matter? I don't know. I don't know if it matters. Because with Joel and with Tobias Harris, Ben Simmons is that other piece offensively. He's a grinder defensively. He's going to be a key component defensively against any matchup you see in the postseason. I'm not disregarding that. But because of where this team is and how it's constructed, me moaning and pissing and bitching and doing anything else when it comes to Ben, does it even matter? Does it even matter? Because this team is riding because of Joel and because of what we saw in Tobias Harris against the Minnesota Timberwolves. That's why this team is going to cruise, not because of Ben Simmons. That's evident. So am I putting all this stress on me for something that is somewhat, to a degree, irrelevant? And it's unfair to put myself through this discomfort because at the end of the day, it isn't going to relate to the wins in the playoffs. It's irrelevant to the wins in the playoffs. What's relevant is Joel Embiid and Tobias. So why constantly put myself through this pain? Maybe that's the way I got to readdress this so I don't feel like stabbing myself in the eyes every time the 76ers play.
Sup, bros? Game's not even over. Pathetic performance by the Sixers. We'll say one thing, though. This man, B-Ball Paul, needs some more minutes. Have a good one. Happy Easter.
Oh, thank you so much, man. Thank you. That's kind words. B-Ball Paul, need more of it. That's what everybody's saying right now, and I think maybe that's why Doc Rivers somewhat mentioned a little bit about it, so maybe it would calm down a bit. I don't know. Here's what I want to do, though, because I like looking at some of the quotes after the game, and I saw a few, but maybe I'll just look at a couple more just to create some conversation with some of it. Because, look, the game is what it is, right? You can't really dive too deep into it completely. Oh, yeah, the Tyrese Maxey stuff. I didn't even touch on it. So, apparently, Tyrese Maxey, due to the health and safety protocols, was not available for the game. And it's unfortunate because he probably would have had some nice play, and he probably would have been able to go out there and run around a bit. Maybe that would have helped Furkan Korkmaz. I don't know. But that guy was jacking up a bunch of nonsense in this game. And I haven't really heard much from you clowns. I haven't really heard much from everybody out there, those Furkan Korkmaz lovers, in a little bit of time. And I tried telling you, you'll have your 3 games. You'll have your 4 games. Come back to me when it's more than that, because now we're on that Furkan stretch of embarrassment, and it's been a little quiet. Don't come back crying to me when he gets through the 2 games again where he shoots a little bit better, because he is going to shoot better than what he's providing, but he does this a lot, okay? This is the version that you get a lot more than the days that you all enjoy. With Tyrese, though, yeah, it looks like Doc Rivers said that he had an inconclusive test. So that's better than obviously testing positive, but I guess because they didn't realize exactly what it is, then they had to make sure that they played the safe route here. Doc Rivers said he hasn't given thought to starting Paul Reed or given him more. Said point blank he doesn't think Reed is ready. I did see that one prior, and I did mention it. Yeah, not so much, honestly. Not so much about anything, because I guess there's really not much more to go with here. Doc Rivers said he could sense it was going to be a long night at shoot-around. Said he could sense the team just didn't have it coming off of a back-to-back. Now that sparked something into my brain. Could sense it was going to be a long night at shoot-around. Do you make an adjustment there? Do you make a statement? Or do you just allow it to go on? Now, I don't know what Doc Rivers did afterwards. I don't know if he recognized something that happened in the shoot-around and then realized, hey, why don't I try and make a spark? Why don't I make a statement to the team? Hey, I didn't like the way it looked. You better make sure that you're more ready to go when the ball tips off. I don't know. I don't know what was said, but at that point, if there was a noticeable look, whether it was fatigue or it was just a lot of guys missing their shots or they didn't come out with that excitement behind them, what do you do at that point? Do you try and create that internally? I don't know if inserting Mike Scott into the lineup was necessarily that. All right, let's go to another one here. Now I'm getting that error that I got before And the first two calls worked. Let's try this one. Same error. What the hell is going on here? All right, let's see if I can play it through the actual web, because I download the voicemail calls all at once and then I just randomly click on them. Let's pull it from the account. Here we go. And we're getting the same error. Okay, well, I guess that somewhat sums up the 76ers night. All right. Well, that's disappointing. Maybe we just say it is what it is. Maybe we just say that's what happens when the Sixers give you that type of effort. I guess that's the road we're going down today. All right, it is what it is. Sixers had a stinker, and they better not have a stinker against the Boston Celtics. Thank you all so much for listening, and I will see you next time.